Welcome back to another big episode of the Jesse Rosinsky Show. This one's number 10. Didn't think we'd get that far. I mean, I knew it would, but didn't think we'd get this far. I'm getting into all this discussion about executive orders. Because, a lot of people, that just seems to be something that I hear people talking about all the time, or see online on Facebook. When I go on there to get rid of notifications, find some recipes, share some memes. And yet I still see it all the time. So I went through and looked at all the presidents, like in the whole history of the country, the amount of executive orders they did. The list goes on and on, obviously, from George Washington all the way now to Joe Biden. They all have their own numbers. Crazy as it seems, here's a fact that you might not have known. 7 of the top 10 in that list were Republicans. 3 of them were Democrats. So then you go through and it starts, evening its way out. And crazy enough, 2 of those were FDR and Woodrow Wilson. And anyone that knows anything about anything knows that FDR was, in there during World War II for the long haul, which all the stuff we had to do and this drive and that drive and all that, it makes sense that he hit over 3,700. During World War II. There were a lot of stuff that had to happen, a lot of sacrifices people had to be made, and I'm sure, for him to be that far ahead shows why there were that many. For him. Number 2 on the list, another Democrat, was Woodrow Wilson. Just over 1,800, and I am pretty positive that was because of World War I. So, the top 2, which I might add are up there by a mile. Number 2, far, far lower than the top one. But those were war times. Number 3, Calvin Coolidge. Barely over 1,200, but he was in between the 2 wars. So, there's a lot of rebuilding and stuff that had to happen and all that. That's just the numbers. And then there's only one other person that even went over 1,000, and that was Teddy Roosevelt. So, it goes, and that's a mixture of 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans. They're the only ones to ever cross the 1,000 executive order threshold. And I'm pretty sure going through this, there was only one solitary president that never did a single executive order, and that was William Henry Harrison. He did 0. 0. So, he doesn't get to be talked about in these conversations because he never actually signed any. There's a bunch of people that are 3 at 1, but he was the only one at 0, and the first one to ever even crack the 80 mark was Ulysses S. Grant, who did over 200 during his time in office. And as we all know, he was a Republican. Now, I'm not picking on either side on it. Everyone does it. One side talks more trash about the other side when they do it, but everyone has done it. They are all wrote down here. And crazy, crazy numbers. I went through it all, crunched them. I really wanted to actually just see the numbers because I never looked it up. Who really actually sits down and looks all of that up? I don't know too many people that do. When I say I don't know too many, pretty sure I'm the only one I know that ever looks this stuff up. But really, it's just because everyone's, they're making a big deal. And I see so many people, Joe Biden's doing his thing right now, which he has the right to do, and we don't like it. But, every president has the ability to do it. The big crazy part, though, the craziest part of this whole thing, is that right now, just in his first week, he has well over doubled the last 4 presidents before him when it comes to executive orders in the first week. Last number I saw was 37. That was a number from yesterday. Didn't get updated to do what he did today. 37. Trump, I believe, was somewhere around 5 or 6. Barack Obama was at 5. George W. Bush was at 0, and Bill Clinton only did 1 in their first week. Which are, reasonable. There's things I wanted, but, 37. It's kind of an obnoxious number. It's big, and that doesn't include memorandums and special directives and everything else that go to agencies and all that other stuff that aren't executive orders. That is just the executive orders that we have done. And my math is right, that's like 12 for the last 4 presidents. He's up to 37. That's like over 3 times as many. There's probably more in there than I found, but I looked and looked at 37 around there was the best number, most consistent number that I found. And that is a lot. And some of them I don't agree with them doing. But that's for, another day. But I just go back to October, I believe it was, when a certain someone was, I believe, doing a town hall at George Stephanopoulos. And he was going, said something around the lines of, when they were talking about Trump and his executive orders that he does, that's something you do in a dictatorship, and we're a democracy. And then in 1 week, at least the numbers I have, he's inside a 20 of killing Donald Trump's yearly average, which is 55, last I saw. He's already almost there. And it's been a week. Like, you can't go and turn around and call someone a dictator because they're using executive, power. And believe it or not, Donald Trump did less than Barack Obama when it came to executive orders. He didn't have as much time, obviously. Number would be way larger. But, you're almost, you've already caught up to where Barack Obama was in his time. He averaged 35. You're at 37 in a week. You've done more than your last 4 predecessors did in the first week combined and multiplied. Like, you cannot turn around and tell the world that someone is acting like a dictator, doing all these executive orders, when you turn around and shatter the record. Like, shattered. So again, maybe it's just me having a problem with hypocrisy, scumbaggery, liars, hypocrites, everything like that. It's probably a large portion of it, but turning around and calling someone a dictator because they're using their executive power, which the guy he was vice president for, Barack Obama, did the same exact thing. It's like every other president, minus one. Like, that's a dictatorship. That's not a democracy, and we're a democracy. And now you're turning around and doing that many in a week. That's nuts. And some of the ones he does, like, there were some good ones in there they even got rid of to help reduce the price of insulin and EpiPens for people that need it. The pipeline's a whole big thing. But you stop that, there was 10,000 plus jobs right there in one fell swoop. The border wall, another one. Whenever it happens, there's still lost jobs. And you can't turn around and say, but they can find new jobs or install solar panels. Well, when are they actually when are we actually going to start doing that? That's my big question. I'm doing all those executive orders, why don't you just make actual plans and then get rid of the stuff? Especially in the middle of the pandemic when millions of people are out of work. Why go and make it more difficult and throw more people into the system that's already overrun and make it harder because now there's less jobs? I don't get it. That's my problem with all of it. Some things I get. Yeah, some of them. But when you go and say he's a dictator, Donald Trump is, and all the things they said about his followers, and then you turn around and this is your response. If he was a dictator, then what in the you-know-what are you hidden? 37, at least. And that was from yesterday, so that was roughly in the week. Today, pretty positive. I think he did more. So we're talking full business days. Sure, but that is an astronomical number. And if you're going to say it's a dictatorship when one person does it, you can't turn around and outdo that person. And the man you were vice president for his yearly average for his 8-year term in a week. That's all it comes down to. That's the brass tacks. I don't like it. I don't have to like it. It's the best part about this country. We don't have to like everything. But, don't be a giant hypocrite, because really all it does is divide us even further. And some of the things he's done with transgenders and, those other things are going to divide people. It's going to piss a lot of people off. They're going to make all kinds of crazy things happen. Because you just rush in and do it. Don't know if he actually did any research or studies to see how it would affect it or anything like that, or how people felt. You just said, screw it, this is what I think we need. This is what I'm going to do. I think we need to do. Who cares? There's no need for debate. And until we get past that mentality, which we're still having a very hard time doing it, if you've noticed, again, another impeachment and all kinds of other things, like talk about wanting to unite everybody. Well, work at it. Let people actually debate ideas on the floor like they're supposed to get your agenda through. Don't just executive order everything, because all that does is piss half the country off, and possibly even more, depending on which side they fall on certain things. So maybe I'm nuts. I am. But, between calling him a dictator and doing all these things, just executive ordering everything you want, regardless of how people feel, that's the wrong route, in my opinion. I don't think we're any closer to ever getting anything fixed when it comes to that. Sadly, I hope I'm wrong. I don't like being right in these situations, so I really do hope that I am horrifically wrong. But here's a crazy idea for it. Same thing I tell all you that listen to this. Communicate. Talk. Have debates. Open discussions. That's how you're going to unite everybody. You're not going to do it by just ramming executive orders down everyone's throat to do whatever you want regardless, because that's just going to keep pissing people off. And we're already in a pretty bad spot when it comes to that. Like, all this is doing is just throwing gas on a fire with a lot of people that are already unhappy and have been unhappy for a very long time on both sides. Until people realize it goes both ways and we stop doing all kinds of craziness and start communicating and doing what we used to, it's never going to get any better. So, I know none of them will ever hear this, but it's all I want. Anyway, like, comment, share, follow me here, YouTube, Rumble, and until we meet again, peace.